here's a little bit of something that connects here. That's a little bit you're talking about white supremacy in law enforcement, which this has been going on a long time. First of all, systemic racism is built in to the police as we know it. Like it's built in. That's part of their agenda. And not to mention, simultaneously, along with that, you have these organizations, the neo Nazis, white supremacists, the KKK, and the footage that we see from protests or what have you, of the people with the ridiculous tattoos and the shape just yelling stuff that look like they probably read at about a third grade level at best. That's the stuff we see on the internet and on TV. But in reality, there's a lot of David Dukes out there who have the suit on and are trying to just blend into society and infiltrate various institutions to serve their agenda. One of those institutions they've been infiltrating for decades now, probably even longer than decades, is the police force. And again, when you have systemic racism built in at the base, it ain't that hard to do because they're not screening you. They're not screening you all that much. If you're a KKK member, they're probably not going to know. And if they do know, there's a good chance they ain't going to care. So, that and Anonymous revealed years ago at Ferguson, Anonymous revealed that there were a bunch of KKK members with badges and guns. How does that not immediately disqualify somebody? That should disqualify you. The job that we're told of a police officer is to serve and protect. It's a bunch of BS, but that's the line we're fed. So you'd think if they were at least trying to keep up the facade, they would say, well, if you have an ideology where you don't think all people are worth serving and protecting, you don't get to have this job. You think at the very least, they'd be like, well, if you're in the KKK, you can't be a police officer. But nope, still happening. Well, hacktivists are really back, and they're really kicking in full throttle. That is alive and well. And here's something that happens. Millions of documents, over 200 U.S. police agencies published in what's referred to as a Blueleaks trove. So there was recently a document dump of a bunch of information containing the police. Millions, here's the article from Ars Technica, millions of law enforcement documents, some showing pictures of suspects, bank account numbers, and other sensitive information, have been published on a website that holds itself out as an alternative to WikiLeaks. DDO Secrets, short for Distributed Denial of Secrets, publishes what it said were millions of documents stolen from more than 200 law enforcement groups around the country. And let's see, dates on the most recent documents were from earlier this month, suggesting the hack that first exposed the documents happened in the last 3 weeks. The documents, which were titled Blueleaks, were published on Friday, the date of this year's Juneteenth holiday, celebrating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the Confederacy. Blueleaks had special significance in the aftermath of a Minneapolis police officer suffocating a handcuffed black man to death. Over the weekends, critics of police abuse took to social media to celebrate the leak and display documents that purportedly came from it. Now, here's what some of the documents include. An FBI document identifying Twitter posts that threatened law enforcement supporters' safety as of May 2020. Motorcycle gangs that opportunistically use protests to pose as members of the Antifa movement. So they have infiltration information here. First of all, they have the FBI looking out for the cops and nothing else. They have infiltration proposed by motorcycle gangs and law enforcement personnel. Here, this one's interesting. Tracking potential protesters' use of Snoop Snitch, an app that detects when IMSI catchers are being used to monitor cell phone data.
Whoa, what? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, right. Right.
Do you have that on your phone?
I don't know. Now I got to find out.
I'm gonna
yeah, we're all gonna have to find out. Yeah. But so that's what's going on here. And they made sure, it's somewhere in the article, it does point out like they made sure that civilians were kept safe. The agenda here was to expose law enforcement and expose corruption in law enforcement, not try to endanger any citizen that has nothing to do with anything. So they tried to make sure that they were cognizant of that while they were dumping this stuff. But so now it's like we have a WikiLeaks dedicated to the police, which is, the way I see it, super needed.
Absolutely. I mean, this is news to me, so thanks for breaking that. I'm gonna have to look into that website, and
Yeah, I've not been to the exact website myself either, but
I'm suspect of new WikiLeaks though, because the first one got infiltrated, and then
well, and you don't know exactly who's behind things. I mean, yeah, of course, and that's an important point to bring up. It's like, proceed with caution. Don't be like, okay, we know everything now. Proceed with caution, vet information, source information. But the fact that some leaks are happening that are turning some heads that are hopefully valid and truthful, that's a good thing that we need to see more of.
oh, absolutely. I wonder who leaked that. I mean, it's probably not too hard to leak it because their software that they use is so old in all government uh,
That's
agencies.
true. Well, yeah, because you have those things where it's like 9-year-olds were able to hack voting machines and stuff like that, and I remember, which is kind of just loosely related, but I remember when everything was going on here in California, you guys did a lot of stuff over at the Convo Couch, and we all saw those documents that showed how vulnerable and susceptible these machines are. And I know voting machines is a different thing than like the software they're using, but it's all kind of connected along the theme of, yeah, they're using this outdated stuff that people can easily just kind of break into.
Yeah, and then like during Corona, for the payments, for the one-time payments, there was a whole problem because there was a shortage of COBOL programmers
Hmm.
to like fix the websites of all the EDD websites and all the websites like that.
I think, they knew what was coming and they just didn't prepare accordingly. And I think it's just, I mean, that whole thing, I mean, that was just another, for instance, of we take care of the ruling class and everyone else, we really don't care.
Pretty much.
And this is just another extension of that, like all this stuff. So now you have people taking it into their own hands to try to expose some of the stuff that's going on. And I think, and again, this particular website, DDO Secrets, I'm still learning about this website. I don't know much about it. This is the extent of it. It's just been dropping recently. So of course, proceed with caution, vet your sources, like you always do. But regardless, I think we're going to be finding out a lot more in the coming weeks and months. And I think I think it's worse than people realize. I think that even, the most skeptical of law enforcement, which, I think that's, content creators like us and a lot of people, I think even our minds are going to be blown a little bit because I think it is worse than people realize.
I think you're right, Ron. I think you're right. And I mean, you just gotta think about how the police started with slave patrol. So there's that, and then just the killing of all these unarmed black men, and then like the response to the Robert Fuller lynching. And if it had been a white woman, I'm sure it would have been a completely different response.
Oh yeah. Oh, if
Absolutely.
if it was white people being lynched across the country, yeah, nothing would have been ruled as suicide yet. Nothing. I mean, that they'd be. Yeah, it's really astonishing, and that's why you need. This is why we need whistleblowing so desperately in our world right now, because the police, they can't be reformed. This is just, I mean, this is just
No,
unreformable. It needs to be dismantled. It needs to be defunded. It needs to be abolished and reinvented. We
reinvented.
have to just reinvent the way we do this.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together